But as we head into this championship weekend, here are the picks, and there's not much change except one game here.
Yay. If we had a diversity coordinator, they wouldn't be real happy with this because there is not much difference here.
So, again, dead even at the top. We have all three. USC against a team that beat them. It was in Utah. It was a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. It was a gutsy, ballsy call by the coach, and we all have USC winning against Utah.
USC just feels like they're hot right now and would love to get another shot at Utah. So I still think it's going to be a great game. So these first two, I think, are kind of going to go. They're going to be tense for especially the teams that are in the top four that need them to stay in the playoff.
Give me USC here. It was a really super tight game last time. And, yeah, Utah got the better of Whittingham got the better of Lincoln Riley. But I think that Lincoln Riley is going to get round two. I think that Caleb Williams is going to be your Heisman Trophy winner, and I don't think many people question that. And I do think it'll be a great game, but I feel like USC's got some mo right now, especially at the quarterback spot. But getting some guys healthy on offense, and the defense is still creating turnovers, despite the fact that about 10 weeks ago people said they couldn't keep this up. 8 weeks ago said the same thing. Here we are 2 months later at the end of the season, and they're still doing enough. And I think they've gotten better as the season has gone along. So I like everything about USC right now. This isn't so much a Utah thing, but then again, it kind of is. Tayshaun Thomas is not going to play in this game. Cam Rising has been very sort of he was really good in that last game, but I don't expect that again from him. Quite like we saw in the first go-around. So for all those reasons, I'm going USC here.
I've watched USC more in the last probably last 2 or 3 games than I did throughout most of the year. Doesn't mean I didn't. Highlights, packages, YouTube packages, I've been able to do that. But I'll take USC. I do think it'll be a hell of a game, but that's it. Okay, so all three of us take the try. That's tonight. That's it tonight. It's great to go home and watch that tonight. TCU.
Let's do them last. Let's do this.
All right,
game
go
last.
to Georgia and LSU. Yeah, you never know. LSU, we had Mike Scarborough on earlier, and he doesn't give him much of a chance either.
Had I been anywhere in LSU's camp before that happened after talking to Mike, I'd be like, well, I think that's gone. A lot of injuries, and even if Jaden Daniels plays, I don't see it being his, best effort because of, coming off that anger, dealing with that ankle injury. So, yeah, I like the Bulldogs in this one.
If Daniels was healthy, I'd still pick Georgia, but at least it would give me a little bit of a better feeling that he could try and run around a little bit, but he's going to need to throw, and I don't like him dinged up in this game. I like Georgia regardless, but I especially don't like LSU with Daniels dinged up. So, yeah, give me the Bulldogs. I didn't take long to think about this one.
I didn't have to even think about it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I have Georgia. This is the one that's interesting, Tulane and UCF. And, Craig, you have the Knights.
Yeah, I do. Still a little bit of a question about quarterback health, playing in New Orleans again, which I don't actually love. But, this one's a bit of a pick'em game, and I'm going with the Big 12 bound Knights to get this one. So, yeah, weird playing and basically, twice in like a month, basically. So a little weird there, playing in New Orleans twice. But, I do like if John Rice Plumlee is ready to go and all that kind of stuff. I do like their ability to break off some, good plays in the running game. And I don't know, this is super tight. I defaulted to UCF here.
I have been on the Gus bus, as you guys know. UCF kind of actually helped me turn the tide of my pick'ems this season. That was the big one when they beat Cincinnati. But just going back to Tulane again, I really like the way that Willie Fritz has coached this team up. They're really physical. They're violent. I mean, they get after you. And the uncertainty at quarterback, what's going to happen. Although both those guys have been able to win games for UCF, I just, again, pick 'em game. I went with Tulane this time. It's always difficult to beat a team twice. It's especially difficult to beat a team twice when you have to do it both times at their place.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I leaned here.
I'll take Tulane. They beat Cincinnati. I take Cincinnati. I like Willie Fritz. I like the fact that they got all the distractions out of the way early when that didn't happen with Georgia Tech. Or I just take Tulane. I think it's a great game. It's another great game. And then also Boise State and Fresno State tonight. And we all have the Broncos across the board.
Yeah, they've just been playing really well down the stretch. So going with them, although, Fresno State, has the quarterback back when they lost by 20 to Boise State early in the season. Haener wasn't there, so that could certainly make a difference. But I just like what the Broncos have put together down the stretch run this season.
Yeah, Taylor Green's been really good. Obviously, had to make a change there in the coaching staff, and it's worked out well for Boise State in their offense. I like not only Green, but George Halani as well, and I feel like they've got some good momentum right now. So, give me Boise State.
All right, so me too. And then Michigan, Purdue, this is one that it will still have a huge viewing audience. It's the Big Ten, but Michigan coming off, and unless they just completely have partied all week or thought about, okay, well, we can just throw our shoulder pads out on the field. Purdue can be fun, but I think this is a mismatch from start.
Yeah. I think even that Corum, Donovan Edwards showed what kind of a dog he is last week. I mean, just absolutely ran roughshod over the Buckeyes in the second half. J.J. McCarthy is taking that step, and he plays with a lot of confidence and swagger. Michigan fans are going to love him for years to come. So, Purdue's, had a nice run to get here, but, I don't think it's going to be a great day for them in Indianapolis tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't stew on this one all that long. Purdue's got a chance to do some things on offense, but ultimately I just like Michigan in pretty much every regard.
All right, Clemson and North Carolina. Now, this one, this is not like but we all picked Clemson. North Carolina's been up and down lately.
So is Clemson.
I'll take the team with at least the heritage here or lineage or whatever you want to call it. I'll take Clemson. And we all did.
I really think that's what it comes down to. I mean, I went back and forth because, look, when Drake May and North Carolina get going on offense, man, they're tough to stop. But they can't stop anybody on defense, and I think that'll be good for Will Shipley. But the quarterback position has been, really up and down for Clemson, so much so that they've got callers calling in on Dabo's show and getting into little, verbal spats with him. And, they've got to get that figured out going into next year. That's really been their biggest position of struggle. But I just think the experience, Clemson can lock you down on defense when they really want to, and I think that's what will be the difference in the game. And UNC has really sputtered to the finish here.
Yeah, a few weeks back was talking about Drake May and at least getting himself a chair at the Heisman ceremony and all that, but their offense has kind of sputtered since then. His numbers have sputtered since then, and I think Clemson's going to be a really intriguing team to look at the transfer portal, and especially at that quarterback spot, what potentially all happens there this offseason. I know that's going to be one of the top storylines for them, and then subsequently perhaps for college football as well, if there is a massive change there at QB. But, give me Clemson right now. I think that they're just overall a little bit better, and UNC not playing their strongest brand at this time.
All right, so there was one of the comments on the chat room about TCU and Kansas State before we get to our picks, which are there, about Kansas State has a tendency to knock people off in the Big 12 championship game. Their history is the opposite. Yes, they beat number 1 Oklahoma and embarrassed them in 2003, but they lost in 98 to A&M. That was an upset when Kansas State was number 2 in the country, then lost to number 1 Oklahoma in 2000, and they were 8th in the country, Kansas State. So, then remember there was a gap of 6 or 7 years there was no game. So this is their 4th appearance. They're 1-2. Upset once, upset somebody else once, and then lost to a team ranked higher than them in 2000. So here's their number 4, and they're underdogs by just a couple of points, 1.5 to 2 points right now against TCU.
Yeah, I think I picked TCU because I do think that they've got some destiny on their side, and that just made it happen. This should be maybe the best game of all of these we've got up there. I don't think there's really much separation between TCU and Kansas State when it comes to talent and execution, but I do think there's a little bit at the top for TCU, and I just think they very clearly see what's in front of them and have been able to be very focused. So I like TCU in this one, but I don't think that they're going to feel like they did last week in Ames where they could have played backwards.
This will be a good game. I'm riding with the mojo that TCU has right now. I don't think they're going to go into this game and all of a sudden not be locked in. I mean, they got Kaz Kazadi driving them. I think they're going to be ripped up, ready to go, and ready to play. I think obviously having Will Howard for all 4 quarters hopefully will make a difference for K-State. But I'm riding the hot hand here, and the hot hand's TCU, although K-State's warmed up pretty good here over the last few weeks as well to secure their spot in this title game. Should be a classic. Maybe classic's too strong of a word, depending on how you kind of throw that around. But I do think it'll be a great game. And, either outcome's not going to surprise me one bit, really. I mean, as far as either team winning, wouldn't surprise me if K-State got the W. But TCU's made it this far, and I think they're going to make it another step further.
Kansas State had that early loss to Tulane that initially you're like, well, you can't do that, and you can't. And now we see where Tulane is. They lost to Texas at home, and they lost to TCU in Fort Worth in a game in which they led by 18, 28-10. And this is fun. I can't wait to just sit back, relax, and enjoy a bunch of games. Love to cover one of them, but we'll have a group of people there tomorrow for TCU and Kansas State. So there we are, dead even at the top. We have this week, and then are we going to do all, bowl games?
I think we're going to have to, because especially if you and I wind
You know
up –
why bowl games are hard, though? Because of opt-outs and stuff like that.
That adds a level of difficulty to it. But if Tulane wins, you and I will end this season tied. And we're not going to do a Nebraska and Michigan sharing the title thing. We're not doing that.
And yet, at the same time, if UCF wins and Craig wins it outright.
I mean, could, but we're going to do the bowl games anyway because we need content. We're a YouTube channel. We got to fill things up. So,
yeah, I mean, as a college football show, we're not going to not talk, do the bowl games. I would imagine at least a share of them. Maybe not doing like the bottom of the barrel, type of games that start in a couple of weeks. But I definitely think we got to talk. We're going to be talking about them regardless. So you might as well pick